So you're saying nearly the entire organization is moved to Poisson? Sounds like you've run into way more than just a bit of trouble. What's really going on?
Since the two of you are so curious, perhaps I can fill in the gaps. A rumor that a certain phantom child is hiding away in the House of the Hearth.
I heard the Traveler is so strong that she can move a mountain with her bare hands.
I heard Paimon eats so much that she can clean out the entire pantry at Hotel Tabor in just 3 days.
Oh wait, when guests visit, you're supposed to give them gifts and stuff, right?
Come on, we insist. I can give you some of my new potions. Just pick your poison. And by that, I mean medicine or actual poison. I've got both.
Or maybe Shaplo can teach you guys about stealth. He's super good at it. He's never been caught. Ooh, how about this? Tell me the name of someone who really annoys you, and we'll teach him a lesson for you.
After this mission is over, I think I'll go get a manicure.
Oh, maybe I should dye my hair. Wonder how much it'll cost.
Looks like the House of the Hearth has some normal members after all.
I heard that.
Hi, Linny. I'm also a child of the House of the Hearth, just like you. You can call me Clairy.
She must be the phantom child Father's been searching for. From the looks of it, I'm guessing you were the one that found her, Fremine. You, haven't told Father, have you? 'Cause from where I'm standing, it looks like you're hiding the very person Father has been trying to find. If Father finds out about this, everyone involved is going to be punished.
That feeling of being haunted, of hearing voices, it's happened many times in the House of the Hearth. I'm sure you've noticed, but she's been living with us, helping us from the shadows all this time. I think that makes her family. I couldn't just hand her over to be dealt with. Not when there's so much we still don't know.
Well, back to the matter at hand then. If we don't plan on handing Clairy over to Father, then our only other option is to solve the mystery of her identity before Father is able to track her down. That means finding out where she came from and what she's doing here. Then we can send her on her merry way and pretend like none of this ever happened.
I tried taking her somewhere really far away, but after some time, she just reappeared. She even came with us all the way to Poisson. It seems like wherever the house is, she follows.
I need you to promise me that this will stay between the two of us. We're the masterminds behind this whole thing. No one else gets involved. Can you do that for me?
Of course. I promise.
All right. Then let's seal the promise just like when we were kids. Fist bump on 3. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
I swear.
Whoa! But what a surprise! What brings you here, dear sister? And, when exactly did you get here?
You're an idiot, brother. And you too, Fremine. You 3, Traveler. And you 4, Paimon.
In this house, some people are family and other people are just test subjects. Those kinds of people aren't ever going to get a place on the roster. Unless it's the roster of people who've been executed.
Okay, time to divide and conquer. Listen up. I've got a plan.
Ah, Paimon gets it. You want us to distract her.
I'll give you a magic bird. If Father suspects something, all you need to do is release it when she's not looking, and it'll alert me that something's wrong.
It has to do with Skirk, my master. I really wanted to meet up with her, but by the time I got back, she had already left. I still have so many questions for her. Without any other leads, all I could do was ask the Knave to help me track her down. She must have left behind some traces from her time in Fontaine.
Unfortunately, no. While the House of the Hearth is adept at collecting all manner of intelligence, certain existences can still manage to escape our purview.
Basically, unless Master feels there's a need to meet with me, She's not going to be found. The old man's been putting the pressure on me. He sent someone to tell me I'm needed for some sort of project.
Project Stuja?
Yeah, that's the one. I heard Regretter's involved too. I'm not looking forward to having to listen to all his monologuing, that's for sure. Hey, maybe you could think of a way for me to stay in Fontaine for a little longer. Helping Linny and the others brush up on their fighting skills would be far more interesting. If you and I could spar, that would be even better. I've been waiting for a chance to see you go all out.
And what a sweet little daydream that is. But I also have a role to play in all this. I'll be leaving Fontaine shortly as well. Besides, considering how little they see fit to step outside the homeland, being called on to return to Snezhnaya by such illustrious dignitaries, what a great honor. Wouldn't you agree?
One I could do without, I'd say.
Is it just Paimon? Or does it kind of seem like they're... At least tell us something a little extra, like... Why do you call yourself father?
The fact that you have to ask tells me our intelligence work has been quite successful. Telling you the answer to that question would only serve to undermine that success. And we can't have that, now can we?
Spoken like a true diplomat. That was some expert sidestepping right there.
Well, if there's nothing else, I think I'll take my leave. I still have a small matter to resolve at home.
I've met some of the members of your organization, and they all seemed like really good kids. They actually reminded me of Tonya and Tusser, which, by the way, if you ever betray them, I'm just letting you know, I won't let you off easy.
And why would I betray them?
Well, you've already betrayed the House of the Hearth once, haven't you? At least, that's what I heard. Okay, I admit. That's just what the old man told me. The rooster, I mean.
Never mind what I've done. I'm more curious as to what the mighty rooster had to say. Care to enlighten me?
Well, nothing much. Just some stuff about you taking out many other members of the House of the Hearth, and even going so far to attack your own family.
I see.
Based on your reaction, I'm guessing it's all a bunch of lies.
Hardly. I don't appreciate his particular turns of phrase, but I suppose he didn't say anything untrue, although it would be more accurate to say that there is a certain level of prejudice involved, but I don't intend to clear that up just yet. Prejudice has a funny way of concealing the real truth behind certain things, an attribute that I find to be quite advantageous. Call yourself a Fontainian, for example, and people will assume all sorts of things, when the real truth is that this is simply the land where I was raised.
So, you stayed in Fontaine for the kids. I guess I was wrong to believe you'd betray them. Apologies. Looks like I was holding on to some prejudices myself.
Good. Like I said, I like it when others have misconceptions of me.
Well, the current atmosphere's not half bad. I'm a bit jealous, actually. You've got so many family members around you, and you even get to live with them.
Having a lot of family around means dealing with a considerable amount of bickering and scheming. Once Tonya and Tusser enter their rebellious phase, I'm sure you'll understand. Just imagine. Tusser becomes obsessed with plucking out strands from the rooster's mustache, or Tonya decides to dye her hair 42 different colors.
Well, long story short, we ran into a small issue. Clairy can't go into the sunlight. Everything was fine at first. She followed me up to the surface just like I told her. But as I led her out of the shadows and into the sunlight, she vanished. I turned around and there she was, standing at the edge of the shadows, silently watching me. I've met him before. The scar is from an injury he received during a mission. I still remember him joking with me about it. He said any future lover would take one look at him and then lose all interest. One day, Father asked to see him, and, well, I never saw him again after that. As members of the House of the Hearth, we're also considered part of the Fatui. And to a lot of people, that's an identity they never asked for.
These kinds of conflicts have always been there. It's not like Father is in the dark about any of this.
Well, that's true. But it just feels like things have gotten worse lately. Filial and the others, it seemed like they were meeting in secret to talk about something. I can't say for sure, but I think they've met Clairy.
You think she's been inciting them to act out?
Clairvy's words probably gave them the excuse they were looking for. Whether they actually believe them to be true is secondary.
This is all because of Project Stuja, isn't it? I only know what Father has told us, which is that it's something the Rooster and Regrader have been working on together. Apparently, it has to do with the Fatui's strategic plan for the future. Because the House of the Hearth was so successful in obtaining the Gnosis, we now have the honor of playing a key role in Project Stuja. Key role is just another way of saying dangerous role. To us, the whole thing is an inconvenience. Father thinks so too, but she's in no position to refuse. Their plan isn't exactly unreasonable, and they've been funneling the house a lot of funding. It's just that we'll lose a lot of members in the process. Participating in the plan, it's an honor in name only. What they're really trying to do is subdue us. The existence of an intelligence organization outside their control makes them feel uneasy.
Shh. I opened the window while no one was looking. Look how pretty the outside is. As long as you're useful, you get to stick around. Lose your value, and you're handed over to the doctor, experimented on, and given a fate worse than death.
You're saying the Knave did all that? It's just, that doesn't seem like something she would do. She's scary and all, but it seems like even she has lines she wouldn't cross.
I knew you wouldn't believe me. Everyone thinks she's a good person. They all think of her like a real mother.
Mother?
I did hear, though, that when Father first became a Harbinger, the doctor offered to work with the House of the Hearth. Father rejected most of his proposals, except for one. It had to do with some sort of secret experiment.
So what are you planning to do now? Catch up on some sleep? Or should I give you some time to rack your brain for a topic to discuss before I ask any questions? Although I must profess to being curious. Without child here, how do you plan on distracting me?
Us? Distract you?
Children always think they can hide things from the grown-ups. But nothing gets past me. Least of all a little scheming. I think I'll let them have at it for a little longer.
Does that mean you're going to kill them?
Oh, are you here to beg for their lives? I'm sorry to disappoint, but the rules of the house change for no one. In my organization, everyone is responsible for their own actions.
But that's awful.
Ah, you seem concerned. Out of consideration for my guests, I suppose I could turn a blind eye for a little longer. It takes a considerable amount of time to train a bird like this. It would be such a pity if you were to lose it. Permanently. A family is like a large body of water with countless rivers flowing in and out. As someone who watches over this system, I would hope that each river that flows from the source will eventually reach the ocean. Of course, objectively speaking, I know this is impossible. Most of the rivers will dry up along the way, disappearing into the ground and leaving nothing but a barren riverbed behind. Not all rivers are destined to reach the ocean, but I would not see their existence rendered meaningless. I believe the water that flows within them is simply meant for a different destination, like a field in need of irrigation. Or perhaps the glass of a certain water-tasting enthusiast.
Your words paint an optimistic picture indeed. Allow me to remind you, however, few among us are willing to sip from a glass filled with tainted water.
It may have been tainted at one point in time, but not to worry. I'll make sure it's strained of all impurities and returned to its cleanest form. If you accept my proposal, Monsieur Neuvillette, I will gradually withdraw my forces from Fontaine. And, unless absolutely necessary, I will no longer carry out any special missions within Fontaine.
I presume I can take your words to mean that, in the future, cases similar to the Tartuffe assassination will cease to cross my desk?
Tartuffe. Ah, that thief who embezzled funds from all those charities, you mean? My deepest condolences to his family, but without any evidence, I cannot imagine how the House of the Hearth might have been involved in his passing.
You choose your words carefully indeed. In that case, I am inclined to accept your proposal. I believe I've told you before that my emotions easily resonate with those of others. Yet in the few meetings I've had with that Harbinger, I haven't been able to sense any aspect of her emotional state. Her mind is like a still body of water. Who knows what darkness lies in its depths, and the lack of ripples on the surface gives nothing away. It's unclear whether this is her natural state of being, or whether it's an incredible strength of will that gives her the ability to master her emotions. Either scenario, however, suggests she is a very dangerous individual.
Oh, geez, I'm so sorry. I was so focused on selling these papers, I wasn't looking where I was going.
What's going on here?
Nothing much. I just ran into your friend here on accident. I should probably get going, actually, so...
Hold on.
Of course, I'm happy to compensate you with Mora, it's just... I don't have any on me at the moment.
I'll take 3 papers. Here. Your payment.
Oh! Thank you for your patronage. May the Archons bless you with good fortune.
Clairy was 6 years old when she was brought by her mother, Crucibina, to live in the House of the Hearth. From the outside, it seemed like a fairy tale. A thriving family made up of kind adults and friendly children. Crucibina was the Knave at that time, and the House of the Hearth was under her control. She was Clairvy's mother by blood, but she was also the mother to all the children in the house. The House of the Hearth takes in war orphans from all over Tevat, but as for how to raise them, that depends entirely on the person in charge. Crucibina came up with a novel idea. She would teach the children to fight, force them to duel each other, and then crown as the king of the house the child who proved themselves most worthy of inheriting her title. It's difficult to estimate the number of children who died or were maimed in the process. There's little I can say about the ones who died. The ones that emerged with permanent injuries, on the other hand, well, they still served a purpose. They would be handed over to the doctor to be experimented on, or sent away on dangerous missions. Nothing more than tools to be used and then discarded. Despite being Clairvy's mother, Crucibina cared little for her daughter. She forced Clairvy to join the House of the Hearth only as a means to demonstrate her own impartiality as a mother, to prove that she treated all her children equally. Unfortunately, the other children had already been thoroughly indoctrinated into the illusion of happiness Crucibina had created. Of course, there was one exception. Someone Clairvy's age who knew the truth about the House of the Hearth. Her name was Peruere. Her cold-blooded nature allowed her to see through Crucibina's facade. Yet, it was also this cold-bloodedness that prevented her from acting against it. At least at first. While Clairvy longed for freedom, Peruere was convinced that, amid all the fighting and violence, she would make it until the end. There may have been a certain naivete to her ideas, but Clairvy proved her determination many times over. She tried countless times to run away, ask for help, or expose the truth. But her efforts only earned her beating after beating. The only thing that kept her going was her strength of will. Her hopelessness resulted from a culmination of things. 10 years had passed. 10 years worth of failure after failure. She and Peruere weren't children anymore, but finding any chance to escape still seemed as hopeless as ever. It was during this time that Peruere suggested a new plan. If escaping was out of the question, why not take down the very person sitting on top of this throne of lies? Mother herself. Clairvy rejected that proposal. She claimed that, as a famous harbinger, Crucibina possessed an unimaginable amount of power. Trying to kill her would have an incredibly low chance of success. Clairvy never gave another reason, but Peruere could see it written all over her face. Clairvy still thought of Crucibina as her mother. Killing her own flesh and blood was a line she couldn't bring herself to cross. If she couldn't escape and fight back, then only one option remained. It happened during a duel. When she arrived at the dueling ring that day, her partner turned out to be none other than Peruere, the very person that had stood by her side all those years. It was a fierce battle, but ultimately, Clairvy decided to let Peruere end her life. From that moment on, Peruere's journey was one written in flames. When the rain finally came and washed it all away, there she stood, the sole victor in Mother's endless game of slaughter, a trail of corpses strewn across her path to success. It was the very result she had predicted 10 years prior. Even then, she believed she would make it until the end. She wasn't surprised by the fact that she emerged as Mother's undisputed heir. Rather, her success left her with an inexplicable sense of restlessness. She was unsettled. And there was only one thing that could quell that sensation. Perhaps you two would like to take a guess as to what it was. The moment she acted, any conception of what was right or wrong ceased to matter. It's one of the principles of the house. Only those who survive get to write the rules. Peruere won the battle, and became a harbinger herself, after which Her Majesty, the Tsaritsa, bestowed upon her a new name. ARLECCHINO. After I defeated Crucibina, the moniker of Mother died with her. I chose to forego the title she called herself, and even chose to give up my own name. I rebuilt the House of the Hearth under a new identity, not only as ARLECCHINO, but as father. You see, a certain power runs through my veins. It's not unlike a curse. My flames leave behind shadows of anything they consume. Of course, the chances of those shadows morphing into a sentient entity are exceedingly slim. Clairvy is a very special case. Clairvy died when she was 16 years old, but what emerged from the flames was her 6-year-old self. Her appearance wasn't the only thing affected. Most of her memories were lost to the blaze as well. Memory is a mysterious thing indeed. Losing a portion of your memories will alter your sense of self. Lose 10 years' worth, however, and it would be like living in the past. Like returning to a version of yourself that never grew up. Shadows don't have the capacity to learn or grow. Any new information they encounter is quickly forgotten over time. Your attempts to expose Clairvy to sunlight, they failed, yes? The reason is actually quite simple. In Clairvy's mind, the house is impossible to escape, and it is this very perception that traps her there. But no matter. All I have to do is kill her again, and all will be resolved. I don't anticipate so much as a single speck of ash will be left behind this time.
Don't you want to say a proper goodbye at least?
Whether as a killer or as a father, there are two things that must be avoided at all costs: anger and sorrow. Anger makes you impulsive. Sorrow causes you to waver.
Are you... Perry?
Indeed, it's been a while, Clairvy.
Perry!
Shh, stay right there. I'm sorry to postpone our reunion, but first I believe certain scores need settling. You chose to conceal a threat to the house, and for that, you must be punished. Overall, however, I suppose your wrongdoing is hardly the most egregious of the bunch, so I'll deal with your punishments later. As for right now, the more pressing concerns are the traitors among us.
By traitors? Do you mean us?
Father, let me explain. We didn't mean to...
We all live in the House of the Hearth. You know the type of work we do, Filial. A single betrayal can cost dozens of us our lives. It's not like it's never happened before. That kind of thing is hard to forget. That's why the House of the Hearth cannot tolerate any form of betrayal. Ever since we came to Poisson, You've had 7 secret meetings! A lot of the things you talked about really crossed the line.
You've been spying on us for half a month? Wait a second. Now that I think about it, the move to Poisson was just a way to make it easier to spy on us, wasn't it? Because we were all in one place! You've had this planned all along!
I'm not saying I have all the answers. All I know is this. Killing Filial and the others may uphold the rules, but doing so will only bring us further away from being a real family than we've ever been. So please, Father, please, reconsider.
Father, are you referring to a duel?
Precisely. The rules of the house will not be altered. Traitors must be punished. However, resolving disputes with a duel is also one of our rules, one that also applies to me. Demonstrate a sufficient showing of strength, and I shall offer a concession.
Don't you want to say a proper goodbye at least?
Anger makes you impulsive. Sorrow causes you to waver.
When guests are around, families are often on their best behavior. And any disputes are less likely to escalate.
When the time comes, make the choice that you deem most appropriate in the situation, and lend your help to the House of the Hearth.
Traveler?
I'm feeling a little off.
You should know better than to crowd in one place.
Oh, I know.
No! I'm sorry, Father!
Sorry for what? This pitiful excuse for an attack?
Father, no!
Made it out, did you? You're stronger than I expected.
A crimson moon. I can't move.
Still, not strong enough to beat me. I believe we can end things here. It's not often that we get to enjoy the company of guests, after all. We wouldn't want things to get too out of hand. Given that I am the victor of this duel, as agreed, the punishment stands.
No!
However, everyone involved in the duel demonstrated a remarkable level of strength and determination. In light of this, I'm prepared to change the method of execution. Elwar, the bottled flames I gave you for safekeeping. Do you still have them? Indeed. They're the product of a secret experiment. Under certain special circumstances, flames can be extracted from my person and preserved. Once ingested, searing pain will spread across every inch of your body. No harm will come to you physically, but your memories will be burned away. If you can withstand the pain. When you awake, you'll have forgotten everything you know about the House of the Hearth, and will be expelled from the organization.
So, you're just letting us go, Father?
You misunderstand. Memories are extremely important. Once consumed by flame, the version of you standing before me will die, and our secrets will die with you. So no, I don't intend to just let you go, because the person who survives will be nothing but a stranger.
I'm sorry, Father. I'm sorry I let you down. But I really...
Don't cry, Filial. You haven't left the house yet, so there are still rules to be followed, yes? Remember what I taught you. Anger makes you impulsive, sorrow causes you to waver. Don't let yourself be controlled by your emotions.
Of course. I'll remember.
Goodbye, children. The next time we meet, I will no longer be your father.
You really are Perry, aren't you? I haven't seen you in so long. How come you're all grown up?
You died, Clairy. That's what happened.
I'm more curious about what happens in the future. If you're a harbinger now, Perry, that means Mother is gone, isn't she?
You never stopped trying to defy fate. At first, no one believed you. You could only vent your frustrations to the moon. In fact, you often sought comfort in the night sky. You wanted to see the aurora, so one night we promised each other we would go to Snezhnaya to see it together. Even now, I'm not sure I truly understand what kind of freedom you were trying to pursue. But as the head of the House of the Hearth and as the children's father, I've tried to give them the most basic of freedoms. The freedom to choose their own fate. It's something I discussed with the Eudex of Fontaine. The children who want to leave the house will have their memories wiped clean of all secrets pertaining to the organization. In return, they will be allowed to live a normal life in Fontaine without being prosecuted for their past. Of course, I won't simply hand freedom to them on a silver platter. They have to fight for it and prove themselves worthy of it. Only freedom that is earned has true value.
You know, Perry, I think you're a pretty amazing king. And a really great father, too.
Clairvy, you've worked tirelessly from the shadows to overthrow the House of the Hearth. Now, by my authority as the Knave, I shall announce how this matter ends. You are hereby expelled from the House of the Hearth. You are no longer tied to this place, nor are you bound by its rules.
You're saying that I can finally leave? Goodbye.
May we meet again someday. I also have certain sentiments left unsaid. I wanted to tell her that the aurora I saw in Snezhnaya was just as beautiful as the ones in the pictures. But a shadow's memories reset at dawn. Had we delayed any longer, we wouldn't have had the time to say goodbye. Whatever regrets may linger, let them be lost to the coming of a new day.
Thank you for giving us that choice, Father. But we never wanted to leave the house. It's the only home we've ever known. Lynette and Fremine feel the same way. They're recuperating back at the Hotel Bouffe d'été. But I decided to come back and tell you where we stood.
I'm sure you're well aware of the expectations I have for you. I want you to follow in my footsteps and become the next king of the house. Yet you seem to have different ideas.
Speaking up back there was so brave of you, Linny. It's all thanks to you that we were able to convince Father to back down.
You're a hero, Linny.
Hero? Father is the real hero. Had Father gone all out during the duel, there's no way I would have walked away with my life. She must have had it all planned from the beginning, from the very moment she suggested a duel. I'm not deserving of that title. I'm not strong enough or smart enough.
You're wrong. In my opinion, all you need to be deserving of the throne is conviction and the necessary strength to act on it. We may have different ideas of what it means to be a family, but you can hardly be said to lack conviction. What you truly lack is strength. For someone of your talent, though, that's something that will come with time. Even without that strength, you still chose to face me in a duel, even though the odds were stacked against you. That capacity to honor your convictions is what I truly see in you. If reaching a certain standard were required to go after what you want, I would never have succeeded in killing my predecessor. Back then, there was still a considerable gap between our abilities. Children must grow up to surpass their parents. Only then can a family continue to flourish. The road ahead is not an easy one, so I'll ask you one last time. Are you certain you want to stay?
You've done so much for me, Father, and that kindness must be repaid. Plus, with Project Stuja at hand, there are many dangers ahead, and I, for one, don't intend to back down. Protecting my family at all costs. That's my conviction.
Then you're welcome to stay. As for Project Stuja, you need not be too concerned. If those cowardly businessmen and heartless dignitaries try to take us down, I'm prepared to teach them a lesson. At present, our imperative is to use their plan to our advantage. In doing so, a crimson moon shall rise amid the frigid blizzards of winter. No demonstration of loyalty shall go unrewarded, and no sacrifice shall be in vain. As for the two of you, whether we meet again as friend or foe, I'll remember the camaraderie we shared in this moment.
Father came to check up on us 2 days ago and told us about what happened with Crusabina and Clairy. Actually, I've met Crusabina before. Crusabina died a year after Clairy. It was during the year between their deaths that I joined the House of the Hearth. Crusabina had an extremely cruel and radical way of doing things. While she was alive, the atmosphere in the house was suffocating. When I joined, though, the experiment she valued so much had already come to an end, and all the people involved, dead and injured alike, were gone. Crusabina never talked about the past with us newcomers. A couple of months after I joined, Father killed Crusabina and burned all her files. With that, the names of all the people subjected to her experiments, Clairvy included, were lost to the flames, along with the painful memories they represented.
She said she didn't want us to be affected by the darkness of the past. She was worried we'd develop a false sense of gratitude towards her if we knew about it. The foundation of a family should be free of any corrupting influence. Whatever happened in the past, it has nothing to do with who we are now.